I ran into someone recently that I hadn't seen in a long time, and they knew a past version of me. And my body felt it instantly. Like, not in a bad way, but just this quiet awareness that, wow, things have changed. I have changed. And at the same time, I felt a deep sadness, and I did not expect that. Lately, I've really been recognizing how much my life has been spent in this space in between who I was and who I'm becoming. And the truth in that, there's a lot there. Hello, my name is Jasmine Vializ. This is Mindfully Amplified. I'm so happy that you've made it into this space where every episode is a journey of personal growth and cultural exploration, mindfully tuning in and turning up the volume on your life and business. So I have been recognizing that I have been sitting in this place in between at times, this place where I'm not quite allowing myself to acknowledge this new version of who I am. And this old version, she's like right back there. She's there right around the corner. And these two versions are experiencing life, existing all at once. And I know that I'm closer to who I have been becoming over these last 8 years or so. But I'm still brushing up against past versions of myself. And what's really uncomfortable for me is that I'm really not accustomed to brushing up against past versions of myself in places and with people around me. And I guess the reason is because I spend a lot of time moving, and I'll share this in just a moment, but I want to ask you this question first is, have you ever felt like you're just like in between these two versions of yourself? Like you can't seem to uh, notice the beauty fully, experience fully the beauty of who you are, because you're looking back at that version of yourself, and you're in between, and both of these versions of yourself, they are being experienced at the same time. Have you ever felt like you are standing in between two versions of yourself? Right? One that's you're excited about, you're moving towards as quickly as you can, but you're right here very intimately connected to and aware of the past version of yourself that has had a lot of experiences in this life and perhaps maybe not represented what you want to be in this new version of yourself, in this new experience of who you are and how you want to show up with your relationships. And both of them are being experienced at the same time. Has that been your reality? Have you been experiencing life like me? What's been so uncomfortable is that I'm aware, deeply aware of the healing that I needed to experience and that I'm still experiencing, right? The things that I needed to do to continue to get deeper to the truth of who I am as this individual being, this spirit experiencing this physical life. And I realized that there were a lot of people and places that were a part of that unfolding, that journey, right? And what I recognize is I'm not so far from those places and people. What feels super different for me is that I've not really been accustomed to moving away from a place or a group of people and still kind of around them, around the people that I had past experiences with. And that's because of my frequent moves. That's because of my frequent moves. And, me basically having this new experience and this kind of awareness that like it's over and I move away and I never need to see those people again. And not that I've chosen that's just been my path. That's just been my experience. And so I guess what I'm saying is I've never actually had this time where I have experienced people in my past and kind of moved away and still been reminded of, and that some of that comes too from the season that I was raised in, which is we didn't have social media, right? We didn't have these easy ways to keep track and stay in touch. So there's very rare times. There was really one time that I can remember in my younger years where I stayed in touch with a friend by writing letters and sometimes doing phone calls, but she lived long distance and I could not be able to call her without having to raise money to pay for my parents' long distance bill. Or get one of those calling cards, my friends. Do you remember calling cards? Anyway, I realized that I'm out of practice, right? I'm out of practice with this idea of like, allowing myself to heal past, beyond wounds and experiences and people that were maybe a part of this season of my life where things felt kind of difficult, like I knew that there was a layer that was going to be shed, and that layer is now shed, and I'm kind of here back in this environment again. And so what feels really true is I don't really have a hard time physically acknowledging that past experience, but I also realize I'm not always around those individuals. And so having been around someone recently and these experiencing my body responding to that relationship, and recognizing that proximity is shifting my experience, it reminded me that there is this place in between. I am in this space in between so often, where there is the excitement and this beautiful life experience that I am thrilled to have the honor to experience, right? This deepening of gratitude for how far I've come and the things that I have had the opportunity to experience over these years. And at the same time, there's so much grief. That sadness really just reminded me of the grief of the loss, right? It's not just the loss of the relationships and those people, but the truth is that every time we shed a layer, this past self, this version of ourselves, right? There's grief in that. There's grief in the shifting of our relationships and what feels familiar, like truth. We are comfortable in this skin in this moment in life. And when we realize, there's something ready to be shed, it can be really uncomfortable, right? It can be like, wow, I don't know how the heck I shed that layer. And here I am with this like new skin and this new experience. And it feels wonderful to see that. But then we look over there and we're like, dang, look at all that stuff that I left behind, right? Look at all those moments and experiences that felt really good in the moment. And it's not that it was all bad at all. But the truth is there was absolute grief in the shedding of that. And I'm recognizing the reality is that there's a truth here, right? We can exist in this place of exciting and new, and also honor that there is grief in the past, right? There is grief in the becoming. There is grief in the releasing and shedding, right? And so I think that what I wanted to share with you today really is that what feels really beautiful is acknowledging that there's a little pain, a little sadness in the process, a little grief in the process of our becoming. And it's still beautiful, right? It's beautiful that we can have these experiences, be excited about feeling the feelings of what's new, and acknowledge how far we've come, and also look back and go, wow, that was really hard. That was really hard. And also, I am proud of myself, and I am thankful for those experiences, and I am feeling thankful for the grief. I'm feeling grateful for the fact that having excitement and sadness and grief, or experiencing symptoms of grief, being in this space in between is beautiful. It's beautiful. And so, what are you feeling right now in your life that is really kind of challenging to overcome? Are you feeling a little bit of pain in the process? Are you feeling that you are kind of in that place of like the skin is coming off, you're shedding off the layer? I'm thinking of a snake while I'm doing that. It's like last year was the year of the snake, right? The shedding of all the things. And I definitely feel like that happened for me, and recognizing that like it's right there, that last year, it's right there, right? We have lots of memories, visceral, other experiences that we've had in this past that are not so far away. And so I don't know that I acknowledge, like I said, I don't acknowledge this very often. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I am absolutely still in my process of becoming more deeply who I was meant to be in this world. And I'm excited that you have been along for the journey. I am not at all coming to you with this, like, I'm in this finished product and, oh, let me, show off how to do this life. Like, the truth is I am learning just like you, and we are learning together, and each day feels different. And when I come across people that I have had past experiences with, it is so uncomfortable for me and new for me. And like I said, I have been acknowledging that there is so much weird emotions that I didn't expect to come up. And that feels really uncomfortable. But I can also acknowledge that there are days where I can also sense it, whether or not I'm actually kind of having I was going to say run in, but having a surprise moment where I'm meeting face to face with someone I hadn't seen in a long time, that new past version of me. I also acknowledge that on the days that I like to call the days that the veil is thin, basically it's like the days where I feel things more intensely, and that could be hormonal shifts. It could be, for me, sleep deprivation causes that. It could be just natural dysregulated sensitivity, right, where I just feel a little bit more on edge, right, a little bit more aware of what's there. Things feel a lot louder on those days, right? The grief especially feels like just like blasting, right? It feels beyond what I'm used to experiencing on any given day. And so that like really heightened sense of awareness I've acknowledged is not something that I want to shy away from or fix. Instead, it's like what is already there, that deeper layer, whatever I've already experiencing, what I'm truly experiencing here, like in my, if those of you who aren't watching the video, I'm touching my physical body, my chest, right? It's like the space below. It's like everything there in my body. There's stuff there that on the days that the veil feels thin, like I can absolutely sense those things more intensely. Like they come up to the surface and are like, hey, I'm here. Can you please tend to me? Can you please acknowledge that I have something I want to share with you that's here that needs to be tended to, needs to be made um, just aware, right? I just need to be acknowledged that I'm here. Like I need you to acknowledge that you feel grief, Jasmine. I need you to acknowledge that you feel deep sense of sadness, or sometimes it's like, you feel deeply excited and maybe you haven't been acknowledging that excitement, right? And so when those days happen, it's like I try to lean into them. I try to move more slowly. And I say try because, I am still brushing up against this past version of myself. And those of you who've hung out here long enough know me that I am coming from a world in which I used to um, do my way through anything. It's like do more, be more, just, keep moving past it. That was my self-soothing. That was my mechanism for moving past things, right? And not really addressing or tending to them. And so that is still something that I have to kind of quiet down because it is absolutely programmed, right? It's conditioned into me because I have experienced life for at least 35, maybe 30 to 35 years of that being like my first mode of response, right? And so that conditioning and that programming for my nervous system is still there. It's like, oh, that feels to something, insert whatever the emotion is, and we're going to just do something to get past that emotion. And so what feels real and true is the days that I feel like the veil is thin and there's something that's beneath the surface that is like peeking its head through. It's like, hey, slow down a little bit. Like actually let's spend a little time here. Let's figure out what this emotion is trying to teach you. What is something that it can help you understand more deeply about yourself. And that feels really powerful to acknowledge, that in these moments that we experience the veil thin, right? There is something for us to learn. There is something for us to gain from sitting with our own emotions and acknowledging what feelings are there, right? And for me, some of that is like deep sadness just from the past experiences and hopes and dreams that I had for these relationships, or these whatever positions, client relationships, whatever, right, where I really felt like there was some hope there that was now lost. And now there is grief. There is this heartbreak that is kind of lingering there under the surface. And the truth is that I am in no way like wanting to, okay, how do I get rid of this? How do I find the cure for it, right? The often conversation, the suggestion that I hear often is that when we spend time, when we choose to acknowledge, sometimes even just giving a voice to the emotion to say, oh, I feel X. This is what I feel in this moment, right? When we do that, it in itself is tremendously healing, right? Just being able to tell that feeling like, oh, hello there. I see you. Like, wow, that's a real feeling. Like I appreciate you for letting me know that you're here. And wow, okay. We're gonna do something. We're gonna just be here with you. We're just gonna spend a little time, and I am going to sit with you for a while, right? I do love the movie Inside Out, because I think that the beauty in that is there's so many fun stories in those movies if you haven't seen those movies. But I think that the beauty in it is like the acknowledging that every emotion, every character in that movie, they matter, right? We don't need one to take the whole show. We want them all to feel like they are seen, acknowledged, and held. It's not like Joy, even though she is wonderful, she can't be the star, right? We can't have that fake life experience, or that masking of the real emotions and the raw emotions. And I'm going to be honest, like I've shared this with you guys time and time again. I'm going to continue to bring it back to that, is that is how I lived my life for so long, is, like I can be the happiest one. I can be the one who puts on the smile, and like, you know, um, I love my mother dearly, but one of the things that she always reminds me, and she, even to this day, I hear her say it or have heard her say it, like, how are you doing? Oh, I'm okay, like life's doing its thing, but I got a smile on my face, so it's okay. Like, I'm doing great, kind of thing. Like, but are you really? Like, and I get it. I get that she's like, I am still persevering. I am still resisting in the face of. I'm not her for saying, using that as the thing to uplift her, but the truth is that, like, you be with the real emotions that are there, and then also still move forward, right? It's like, or are we just trying to force the moving forward? And that is how I existed for so long, is like, I'm going to force the moving forward because that shit back there is so hard and so thick and so right? There's so much sadness and so much yeah, disappointment, and all those emotions that just are real, that we have all felt. I imagine you felt them, and we've all felt them. And so recognizing that when the veil is thin, it actually is a really great teacher. It's a really great opportunity for us to lean on those days and those moments and experience the depth of what's there, right? The truth of what's there, and use those moments as the opportunity for us to sit with this deeper part of ourselves that needs tending, that needs to be acknowledged, right? And sometimes that's it. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have to do anything, right? Sometimes journaling is wonderful. Sometimes movement to kind of tend and self-soothe the nervous system is great, but it isn't necessarily required to do anything but to be and experience what needs to be experienced. And if you haven't listened to the episode where I talk about cry date, this is a really beautiful time. It's like, what can I do to allow these emotions to move up and through, right? It's like bringing them up to the surface and letting them move through me. I'm not saying like the emptying them out is the solution. The truth is that we want it to be given full permission to move through us, right? It may not be something that you can do on a daily basis, right? I've worked in healthcare corporate for so long that I am very programmed to, like, when I'm in this work mode or whatever mode, I am oftentimes trying to kind of, okay, I need to take this, I need to put it here, right? And so, but it's still there. And I will be okay with that. I'm not going to take all my emotions everywhere to other people that I don't believe can hold that space, right, for my emotions. And so I will, though, however, make the time for those emotions now to come to the surface. And maybe that's in those moments of those cry dates, or other ways that I can kind of move through them, be with them while I am kind of creating this day. Okay. This day, this season of my life, right? I'm creating this whatever it is at work, right? If okay, before I do that, I'm gonna go spend some time in journal. I'm gonna go spend some time in meditation and allow myself to just find the emotions. Like one of my favorite meditations, which I will need to do on here, is uncovering, right, the spaces inside of us, right? It's like opening up the doors to find what emotions and what feelings are there, and acknowledging it and letting us experience and feel all of it. And it can be a very really like beautiful experience for a meditation, because it can take you along the journey of life. It's just like there's sadness in this door, there's joy, oh my gosh, there's so much excitement over here, and over here there is, that I'm just trying to think of emotions on the fly, but the things that are in those spaces inside of us, right, is like allow us to be with those things, allow us to walk through those even in the meditation, right? And so, yes, I want to ask you, what do you recognize what do you recognize about yourself when you feel more open, more sensitive, more aware of what's there? What really brings that on for you? Like I said, for me, it's the days that I feel like the veil is thinner is when I am feeling like sleep deprived. I'm feeling a little bit emotionally on edge. Sometimes it's the full moon, because that heightens my emotions. It makes me feel a little more aware of what's there, right? Aware of whatever is present, and sometimes it's heightened excitement, sometimes it's heightened experience of elation or bliss, right? Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I feel like poop and I feel like I want to just curl up in a ball. And so whatever emotion is present, it kind of brings it to the surface. And so what are the days that happens for you? I'm curious to know about that. And so I want to just, kind of acknowledge that, again, the sadness itself is telling us something. The excitement for what's ahead is also revealing to us that we are looking forward to life, right? It doesn't have to be like a choice, right? It doesn't have to be like, okay, well, are you going to choose to stay with this or choose to stay with that? It's like each thing gets the opportunity to be real in your life. It gets the chance to be present, right? You don't have to rush out of this place in between where both things feel so present for you. Like just be in that place, right? Just allow yourself to honor the past, allow yourself to give this moment of um of excitement to the future, right? Give this moment of pleasure to what you are feeling in the moment, in the now, right? If you're feeling that, okay? So don't feel like you have to rush from one place to the other, right? Create the time to intentionally slow down. Create the space where you can allow this sense of truth to come through, right? Don't feel like you have to force closure. You don't have to force being done, right? Like, okay, that book is done, I'm going to put it over there, right? You don't have to force that. Now, I'm not saying like go back to those relationships or places that feel like they're in your past. What I'm saying is there are things, emotions tied to that past chapter of your life, that past season of your life, that you don't have to push away. You are going to allow these things, these emotions, this grief, if it's grief for that past version of yourself or that past season, right? Then let that move through your body. Like be honest and true to yourself to allow what is to remain, right? To remain what is. Stop trying to force yourself to move on, or give yourself this feeling of like, just go for it, just be in the present and go, go forward, right? Don't try to force that. Just allow yourself to stay with the feeling that is. And like I said, just acknowledge and trust that when you do this, when you spend time with you, when you spend time acknowledging the reality of this space in between, that liminal space in between, trust that the timing in which you are meant to heal past those past experiences is coming, right? Trust that you spending time acknowledging your feelings or emotions is absolutely going to bring this feeling and sense of healed past that. I have truly acknowledged the beauty that was there. I'm grateful for that. I am seeing that. I have allowed myself to experience all of the emotions that were there. And now I feel like everything that was meant to happen for that experience to now be in my past, I feel like I have allowed myself to move forward on a true sense of purpose and acknowledging that there is now a new space for me that I can exist in where I don't have a feeling of both of those things happening at the same time. And it will come, right? Trust that divine timing, trust that it will come. Even though maybe in this moment you might not see it, I want you to try to take your mind back to past things that you've experienced where you have felt that sense of in between, where you have felt that sense of of grief and of, you know, deep sadness or disappointment or resentment or whatever, anger even, right? Where you had those big emotions and then you think back to that now and you're like, huh, where did all that go? Like, I don't have those anymore, right? That's the truth. Is like, you may not be able to see that for this particular experience, but you can certainly acknowledge that there has been past experiences where you have felt those emotions and you have allowed yourself to experience them and don't maybe feel even a hint of that now, right? You feel like you have absolutely acknowledged and moved beyond those things and feel now that you are in this new season of life, like they're they're not on your heart like they were back then, right? You aren't feeling those emotions. There isn't, if you ran into that person, there wouldn't be any big feelings. There wouldn't be the grief like I just mentioned, right? And so just acknowledge that, especially for me, right? I mean, maybe this is where you are too. Like, I am in that place. I'm in the liminal space where I'm here. I'm moving towards this version of myself that I feel is who I was designed to be, right? I feel absolutely like I'm moving on purpose, but she ain't that far. She ain't that far from the past version of me. Okay. I'm going to be honest, right? It's like, I feel like I'm constantly wanting to understand that there is these lessons that I am still bringing forward into this new experience from my not too distant past, not too distant past, that are allowing me to become. It's those lessons. Like, it's even this conversation, right? This conversation and me sharing this with you, it is allowing me to process, understand the truth of what that experience was, so that when I take this experience into the future, I can maybe more rapidly spend time with those emotions when they come up, maybe more rapidly allow myself to truly, deeply create the space for feeling those emotions on the veil, when the veil is thin on those days, right? I can allow myself to continue to take these lessons into the new version of myself, right? So I'm going to let myself take up the space in this liminal space. It feels very uncomfortable. I'm not even going to pretend. Most days it feels very uncomfortable because, again, it's like I am basically, I like to think of it as like in a new relationship, you know, where you are really trying to get to know this person. Is, you know, you kind of, days you're like, oh, that was interesting, I didn't know that about you. Right? Same thing is true with getting to know yourself, or like really allowing yourself to deepen this relationship with you. It's like some days you're surprised by that. And some days you're like, wow, really, you know, like you're a little bit confused by, you know, the things that you find are real and true for you in this new experience. And so, yeah, I think it's just really important to just acknowledge that there is a really interesting time for you to just take up this liminal space. And there is peace in that. There is joy in that, right? There is an opportunity for us to really allow ourselves to become, by acknowledging that everything that's from our past is absolutely a part of that process, absolutely a part of the process, right? And so trust the space that you're in right now. Acknowledge that you are not behind. You are not stuck. You are not, you know, loud, what do you call it? Like letting yourself kind of forcibly stay in this past experience. The truth is that you are experiencing what is still present for you, that is connected to the past emotionally in your becoming. So trust the space in between. Trust that this liminal space is the space where the most incredible version of you is coming through. Okay. I love to think of this, and I want to point you guys back to, I think it was the very first episode that I talk about the beauty of the lotus flower, and right, that space, that darkness, right? That is where things are happening, right? It's the deepening into that space where things are happening. So trust that liminal space. Trust that space where you're like, I have no idea if I'm ever going to actually move towards this version of myself, this new version of myself fully, right? Trust that things are happening beneath the surface. Trust it. Okay. And I want to ask you one last question, just as like a closing reflection, is what would it feel like to let this experience of this emotion, if it's grief like it is for me, what would it be for you to let this emotional experience be a part of your becoming? What would it feel like to let that be a part of your becoming instead of something that you're forcing yourself to move past? What would that feel like? Okay. I think we're done here, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you liked this episode, you can check out other episodes. Also, do me a favor and don't forget to rate this podcast and do whatever you can do on this particular platform. If there's like a like button or a thumbs up or a subscription button, consider hitting that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being here, and have a beautiful rest of your day. We'll see you soon. Take care.